Hello everyone! Okay, I'm very proud of this one. We are going to be making a stunning 3D flower bunch piece with easy techniques and exciting embellishments that anyone can try. Let's get right into it because I can't wait to show you. You can find the original for sale on my website. Now today we'll be making some elegant piece with quite unusual color combination. For me, I very rarely use those colors, but I just fancy that today. We're going to be using creams and beiges and browns, dusty rose as well maybe. This is the canvas, again a long canvas, and I do plan some 3D element on it as well. But the first thing, the paints. So I mentioned the colors and I basically used only these, and the shades I'll show you in a second are intermixed colors. None of the containers is full of just one color. I mixed them all together. I added white, I shaded them with a bit of black. So white and black are very important for this combination. Scarlet red was just one droplet, so you won't see red as such, you will just see another color. These are the mixes. The consistency, all of them should be the same. Uninterrupted stream. Pretty runny. I do want them runny, so the build-up is minimal. I used 1 part of paint to 1 part of my pouring medium, which is PVA and water, 50-50, and 1 part of Floetrol. Mixed it really well and then added quite a lot of water. And I was thinking how to apply the colors. I do want my canvas to be lighter on the top, if possible, and then a bit darker at the bottom. I would love to have some streaks going one direction. I will just cover it with a very, very thin film of white first. While I'm positioning my canvas a bit higher, I had some questions about what containers I used. To be honest, everything here is recycled, so I basically don't waste anything here. I very rarely use this, almost never, but I think it'll be useful for a very thin layer. I think I want the canvas to be a tiny bit moist. I'm going to put more white here. I've got something in my head, but I'm really wondering whether it's going to work. Layering the colors in a bit more controlled way, thinking where I want them, you know. That's a pretty color, isn't it? Okay, now I do want some darker values as well. Probably not putting enough. A little bit of brown here and there. Where's the darkest brown? I can always reapply later on if it's not enough. Okay, I think I am ready to blow. And there is the usual disclaimer that I make. Please don't do it. Use a proper nozzle. This is quite dangerous. Gets heated and also you can cut yourself. I will use it on the lowest setting. Something like that. That's actually quite a lot of paint that I'll collect later on, don't worry. As I said before, I was trying to make them in one direction. Now revisiting, I do want more white. Oh yes, that's what I wanted, that's what I wanted. Don't worry about the middle, you will not see it later on, believe me. I'm actually going to scoop the mid part because I don't need it. I put too much, I wasn't sure how much I wanted, but I do like this and I do like that. And I don't need the mid part. As usual, I am reusing all the paint I've used. So all that paint goes back in a container and that will give me a completely different color for next time. There is one more thing I wanted to do. I did want some of the dark paint to drip a bit further. Maybe I'll use the paper napkin to drag it a bit. Let me wet it first. A little bit of this. Something like that. Maybe I'll put more of the brown, you know. Let's just put a bit more here. You're probably wondering, what is she doing? But I'm imagining something, you know. The very next day, it's all dry. And now, as I mentioned before, I want flowers here. So all that nasty area is going to be covered. I was thinking how big I want my flowers. I want probably perhaps 5. Thinking of the size, and I quickly sketched one. I think I don't mind. That's my sketch for the blue anemone that I did before. Let me transfer it. I was using, what was I using? 5B pencil, very soft black graphite. It's very easy to transfer image. Oh, it's going to be big. It's going to be big. All right. I might make this petal probably a bit smaller. Quickly pressing down. Usually use my nails. But I know that could be annoying. That was super quick. Will it help if I go over with white? I think you can see. You can see well. At this moment it doesn't really matter how careful I am, because adding 3D paste will definitely change the look of some of the petals. This is just a general guidance for where I want the petals to be. I think the pencil was better seen here, and the marker on the darker background, of course. I want to thank everybody for your lovely comments. Please forgive me if I don't answer all of them, because I do have a full-time job. I do work as a teacher, and the beginning of the year it's really hectic, but I do read them and I really appreciate them. So some of them make me giggle. Like one of you said, I didn't know if it's going to work. Halfway through I thought there's no way it's going to work. And you know what, this is exactly my feelings. So often I look at like, how am I going to do it? But I persevere, you know, I persevere. In the final stage I want to see what my vision was. Otherwise I will be very unhappy. All-purpose filler. I did try this type of flower once using this technique. And I'll be absolutely honest with you, you probably will be laughing, because I've actually watched my own tutorial just to make sure that I know what I'm doing. This is so funny. Let me just put some of this. These are the colors from the background. I would so like you to participate in the process. For example, now, what would you prefer? Would you prefer me to do palette knife, or would you prefer the piping bag? I'm trying to hear your answer. I will go with the bag. I'm curious myself how thick the lines I can make. You know, I've been experimenting with the bags. The last 2 videos are far from mastering. But I will try to make those lines thicker this time, much thicker. Now it's good to have something you can practice on first, and also it's good to have a wet wipe. In case something goes wrong, we can wipe everything off. That shouldn't be a problem. Probably doesn't matter with this technique. It would matter a lot with a palette knife, because I would have to go with the flowers that are underneath first. But in this case, I can do both. Let's just try with this most inconspicuous one here. Now I do want some paste on my petals. How am I going to do that? I need more. I need a bigger hole. At least like that. Super satisfying. tricky here. Not sure what I was thinking. Now you can see why it's actually not so important how your lines were. It doesn't really matter if you're making it perfect. Now what do I do now? Let me think. Brush. I'm going to use the brush. Soft brush. This one will work. So with water, I'm just going to drag some of the paste towards the middle. I think it's going to look nice. I do think it's going to work. I'm just touching it halfway through, trying not to destroy the soft edge. And I want this flower to be slightly disappearing. I think it's going to work really well. That's my feel now. The paste is so soft. Look what I can do. I can even apply some paste just to get some texture. And I might do it. Give the impression that the petals are a bit creased. So going back to the moment when I said that halfway through I'm like, what am I even doing? This is the moment. I'm like a huge relief. I know what I'm doing. I definitely know what I'm doing, and it's working well. That's probably the reason why I try new things constantly. I just like this unknown, and trying new things are so much more exciting for me. Okay, since I've done this one, now I can do the big one. I'll start with the overlapping petal. There's no question that if you are not too confident with a palette knife, this technique is perfect. I'm adapting as I go, so spreading these first. I don't think every petal needs a very thick edge. Now this one, I want to be much thicker. I want it to be like folded. And by the way, these are almost dry while I'm working on these. Might go over this section again to create this, something like that. What do you think? And this is the last section that might be a bit tricky because this part is folded like that one. I'm amazed how quickly it dries. Those petals that I started like 5 minutes ago are partially dry. I'm really trying to keep the same direction towards the middle. I think that one looks actually pretty nice. Maybe I'll put 1 or 2 buds here, thinking. I think that we need something here. I absolutely think we need one here, and let it be kind of overlapping. It's going to be at an angle, something like that. This is a really quick sketch. I wasn't prepared for that. I didn't think I would require another one. Something like this, very simple. I did have some leftover paste in the bag, so why not? When you start and something works well, with the next item you're becoming so much more confident. I usually get suggestions for the subject of the painting, but I would also love to get some feedback and some thoughts on what techniques would you like me to use, and maybe try something completely different and something new. There's nothing better than a good challenge. In art, I mean. In art. Not necessarily in life, but perhaps. Sorry, I'm becoming a bit too philosophical, because I think, yes, a challenge in life does help you grow, doesn't it? I'm going to add 1 bud here at an angle. Solid dry next day. What I'll do now, I'm going to add some darker shadows in between because I want the flowers to stand out. I am thinking black and this brown I used. Not sure how much I want. Again, I'll have a tissue with wet tissue to wipe it off if it's too much. Baby wipe will be very useful. Going in between the petals. I think it will look nice if I add some drips in those bare areas where there's nothing. Pink with black gives a nice shade. I've decided to make some drips. I'm helping them. They're controlled drips. Not too much. A couple of places. Now I can't make up my mind. Do I want the flowers white, or do I want them creamy, or do I want them a bit pink? I think white on its own will be a bit too harsh. Thin film of white, and maybe then a bit of color. I do want them light, to be honest. So let's just continue with the watered down white. It's like whitewashing them a bit. Now I can see all the grooves. I don't see any background color. So I'll quickly cover all of them with this very, very thin film of white. Now once everything is nicely covered, even though it was a very thin layer, I can come back with this pinky tone, white with pink blush, and the background mix. And in a minute I'll add deeper shadows. A bit more pink now, especially in the areas that are sort of in shadow. Notice that I always wipe it off if I think it's too much. And yes, I haven't done the mid parts. I remember that. Smallest amount of this peachy color. I just want to see all the colors from the background. Maybe not the dark brown, but the rest. It's a little bit of grey in the same pink mix. Wanted some more contrast. If you add layers of color, you always get something interesting in the end. Time to do the mid parts. Oh, I think I'm matching my flowers. I'm using the putty without any paint. That's not all that I want in the middle. I've got something exciting. That's the size I want, like a little button. I'm wondering, should I add some glue underneath? Maybe, perhaps I will. Just in case. I'm sure it's going to be stuck anyway, but added some glue. Perfect little button. Okay, this one will be smaller. And another one. Alright, I'm going to wait till they are dry and then some final touches. I'm going to paint the mid part first and then attach those cuties. I know that lots of you do like it, so I will add a bit of gold to the edges. I might even add a bit of brown to the midsections. This is still the color mix from the background, all of the leftover colors. Some brown. The previous color is still wet, so it's kind of mixing together. The darker this mid part is, the better the gold will be seen. So I might add even darker shadow in a second. Oh, that's really dark. I don't know if I want so much of this brown. I think that's nice. Touch of gold. I was considering adding rose gold or bronze, but because we've got gold here and some streaks of gold, they're more yellow. I've decided actually that I'm going to use this favorite of mine. A little bit on my finger. I don't want it everywhere, just some sections. Not sure if I want so much here. Little touches. Because I'm going to use the balls, I am actually not going to use a golden leaf. I don't want it an overkill, but that's a possibility. I want it quite subtle, so I think that's enough, or more than enough. Maybe even too much in some places. The mid part. So I'm putting it on and then wiping it off so I can see some brown. Let's see what they will look like. Oh, that's going to be really cool. I'll be gluing them individually with strong glue. Well, I hope you like it. I'm really looking forward to your comments and suggestions as well. And thank you very much for all of you who sent me lots of very interesting suggestions. Thank you. I'm making a whole list. I think I'm going to use super glue now. Just put a drop here and let me catch the little balls. And I'll hold them down one by one. Couple more here. I'm not doing double layers and I'm trying not to make them sort of evenly spaced because I don't think that will look very natural. So one layer on the little baby. That leaves me with this one and the big one. There we are. I'm so happy with this grungy look. What colors or flowers would you like to see me do next in this style? I'm excited to hear your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget that this original is for sale on my website abcreativeofficial.com, and if you would like to see more videos like this, consider subscribing if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all next Saturday. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.